Hello everybody. I often talk about the topic of resilience, pushing through difficult times and trying to change your perspective. However, on the other hand, you also have to pay attention to recovery. And so today's video, I want to talk about how to recover from stress, from anxiety, from pressure. And the reason I want to discuss that is because actually me myself, as such a strong advocate of, in general, resilience, I forgot how important recovery is. And in this video, however, I want to share with you what I've found personally over the last few weeks, indeed, and supported by scientific research, is one of the most effective recovery techniques for those of you who are feeling a little bit of pressure at work. But first, let's discuss what is recovery and the nature of it. It's very interesting to me that we rarely talk about recovery at all. But in other high-performance sectors, say athletics or sport, recovery is as important as the exercise itself because they recognize that your body needs to have time to replenish its energy, and that growth comes from allowing it to replenish in that way. So why don't we use it in ordinary work? Why is recovery so demeaned currently? Well, I guess there are a variety of reasons, but one of those reasons is, I guess, hustle culture, or the veneration of individuals that continue to push their physical limits at work. But pushing your physical limits by not sleeping, not recovering, not resting is not as impressive as, say, an athlete breaking a world record, because it's not a physical feat. You're just trading your health, your future health, for present working hours. This stuff catches up with you in the end. But recovery is also extremely difficult because the more stress and pressure we're on at work, the less likely it is we are to recover. We tend to trade our time or invest more and more time as the situation becomes more and more stressful. In addition, as work pressure increases, we're less likely to sleep well, we're less likely to eat well, we're less likely to drink enough water, therefore creating a very 恶性循环, where the biological and psychological conditions for recovery are extremely difficult to achieve. But what do I want to talk about in this video is a very specific aspect of recovery. We all know that we need to sleep well and eat properly, so I won't go on about that. But there is another thing. Just sleeping and eating will not allow you to recover from work. Actually, psychologists, workplace psychologists found that the most important factor to allow you to mentally recover from stress at work, from anxiety at work, is the ability to detach. In other words, to forget about all the stuff that's going on at the office and think about something different. Easier said than done. In fact, the majority of us, when we think about recovery from workplace anxiety or stress or whatever, is actually to switch off our brains entirely, watch television, go to the cinema, look at social media, whatever, very low brain intensive activities. But what this research showed was in fact the opposite. And I thank one of my friends who sent this article to me. But this research showed that in fact what you should be doing to detach is what's called mastery activities. In other words, activities that require you to engage your mind. This is very counterintuitive because you might think that the last thing you want to do when coming home from a stressful day at the office is again exercise your mind. But it turns out this is critical for recovery. What do I mean by mastery activities? Mastery activities is the term they use in the paper, but it's actually stuff that requires your focus. It's stuff that you can get better at, stuff that you can achieve things in. So this might be, for example, doing some art or learning a musical instrument, learning a language, yoga, exercise. All of these things that we associate as learning or excellence activities would count. And by doing these activities in your spare time and carving out time for those activities, that's what allows you to recover from workplace stress most effectively. Put another way, if your whole life is about work, and outside of work, the only things you do are kind of these low mental capital activities like watching TV or doing social media, then you become a unipolar individual. Your life becomes more and more about work. And therefore, when stress hits your work, stress hits a much greater proportion of your life. And so in the spirit of that, I thought maybe I'd share a couple of things that I'm refocusing my efforts on now and in the future as my key recovery activities. The first is exercise, but specifically rowing. As you know, I'm very keen on the rowing. And the second is one of my old passions, in fact, something that brought me to China originally. And that's actually my interest in a lot of the traditional Chinese philosophies, so Ru Dao Fo. And I'm starting to get a lot more into reading all the philosophy and history behind that. It'd be great to hear from all of you what you would like to do to help with your own workplace stress.